I would say to the community and to everyone that certainly it has something for everyone. If you want music, they have music. If you want to see theater, they have theater. They have various events that are open to community and for the social good. They have things for children. They have music camp and playmakers for aspiring actors and musicians. And I just think that it offers a tremendous amount of variety in the arts that are offered here.
Well, for me, it goes way back beyond or before the Garfield. It goes back to really Vince Raymond. The Raymonds wanted to do some theater. I mean, they've always wanted to, and they had done it with other, I think the Chester actors thing. So they just got going, and they roped me into doing it just to do the sound. And our little kids were in it, and it was the Wizard of Oz, so the munchkins all over the place. And it was really fun. And we went on, that was the start of the Actors Community Theater, ACT, with mostly Vince Raymond, who was the head of the Arts Council. Then we said, well, there's this wonderful person around who really loves lights. He's so into it. Ended up being Butch. And Butch and I figure we did about 60 productions together. I did sound and he did lights.
Well, my wife and I bought a house in town in 1999. Started using it for weekends in about 2001. That was about, I don't remember exactly the years, but when the theater was first turned back into a theater. It was being renovated. And we live within walking distance of the theater, so it was hard to avoid. So, you know, we came down to see things and began to realize how good the things were that we came to see, and it became a habit.
Some of my favorite, and it's hard to pick a favorite moment, of course, you know, at the theater. But I can name a few, and one that sticks out in my mind is we were doing our summer kids theater camp. It's called Playmakers. We have ages 8 to 15. They come in here for a month. We rehearse every day, all day, and then they put on a show. We did in 2015. We did Peter Pan and Wendy. Not only is it one of the best, you know, shows ever, but we had a remarkable moment for me, at least, and I think for the audience too, when little Kaylee Raymond, who's Leslie Raymond's granddaughter, she was cast in the lead role. She was Peter. And Kaylee is a shy kid, and she wanted that part because she came prepared for the audition and blew us away, and so we cast her. And I don't know how familiar you are with the script, but they have a line. It's, my favorite, and Catherine Bushby, the other director's favorite line in the script, where Peter stands on stage and says, "I am youth. I am joy. I am the little bird that's broken out of the egg." When Kaylee did that in front of a full audience, shy little Kaylee, hands on her hips, you know, chin out, crowing, you know, as loud as she could, big smile on her face. I can't listen to the Mary Martin soundtrack for Peter Pan anymore without bawling my eyes out because of Kaylee. It was just remarkable to see the transformation, and not just for her, but for so many other kids that come through this program, and music camp too, the musical theater camp we do. These kids find themselves.
The most recent is My Fair Lady. That one, the sound, I thought was very good, and I thought the people portrayed in those points, the characters were very well done. I thought a lot of it, again, is a director drawing out the best out of people. The challenge is always in making the space where it can be changeable quickly. So some of those things work very well in some plays. On other plays, just seeing the youth grow through the children's program and get better and better, and then finally say, you know, that's, and you're behind it and you're thinking, that's going to be somebody later on. They're going to be good. So it gets to you. Yeah. Those people are, you know, you remember that stuff.
I think it's great. It's an absolutely wonderful, like I said before, it's a wonderful thing to get them involved like that young and to get them interested in doing that. And there have been kids that have gone through the entire program and then have, you know, wanted to come back and help later. And that is amazing that they want to come back and help the next group of kids. And, you know, it's wonderful. We get them in young, you know, they start at age 8. It's great to see the 8-year-olds just so excited about, I get to act and I get to do this and I want to put on costumes, and it's amazing to just watch these kids come together.
Well, when I have friends that come to town, I come right to the theater. And if it's open, I bring them in and I show it to them. And invariably people go, wow, look at this. You know, this is a gem in this little town.
I've always been interested in theater. In another life, I was a professor of literature, but I taught drama as literature. But I know a lot about theater, and so when I was asked to join the board, my husband Ben said, just go ahead, this will be fun. And it has been a lot of fun. And some of the wonderful productions that the Garfield has done have really created for me a sense of community. And when I think about the Garfield, that's what I think of. I think of a wonderful asset to the community, but there's a community inside this building too, that you use the word magic. And I think the dedication of our executive director, Tess, the board, all our volunteers, it's a very special group of people that make this engine run. It's been a lot of fun for me, a lot of fun.
I get a chance to chat with people, and I guess I just love being around people. And so when folks come in, I get to see so many people and talk with them and say enjoy the show. And yeah, I do. I enjoy being one of the volunteers.
You know, it's when you see people come back, not just come back to see another show, but when they leave and they put their name on like the mailing list and they're like, I can come back and help, you know, the next. It's kind of like you want to get that snowball effect. You want people to know that if they like what they see, they can be a part of it more than just as a spectator. They can do behind the scenes stuff, they can act, they can do tech, you know, whatever they're interested in. There is more than likely an opportunity here for them to do. And that's really good, because I don't know if maybe a lot of people don't know that when they come in to see a show, but it's really a wonderful chance for just anybody, and anybody who has any level of experience too. You don't have to be some great actor. You don't have to have done lighting before. It's a great place to just come in and learn, find out what you're good at.
How do you put a value? It's pretty hard to, first of all, it's priceless. I've been able to use some of the theater productions here with W.C. Hall, for instance, or the Churchill Theater. I've used Bonnie Hill and I have collaborated several times, and she's picked the play, I've taught the play, I've brought my adult students to see the play, and one of the things my adult students say, wow, I never thought about theater like that before. I get that play, you know, it was, and so as an educator, it thrills me to be able to open up something that I've loved all my life to another group of people and have them begin to enjoy it. And I hope what it does when I teach a class at WC Hall is that it builds an audience for us.
I've always thought theater was, local theater at least, at the very least, is very important to any kind of community. When I was in high school, I was in plays in high school. When I was a little kid and at church, I was doing the pageants and all that kind of stuff. And theater to me has always given me a place where I felt like I truly belonged. And to come, and back where I used to live, I only ushered at a theater because they had guild actors, all that kind of thing. But here, local theater, I can actually come, audition, try out, and have fun, be a different person for a couple hours a day.
Mm-hmm. And it's also brought, to me, connections with people that I wouldn't otherwise be connected to. You know, even when you have a small role, you have a lot of time back in the green room, just sit in the corner and talk to, you know, get to know different people. And we also usher here other times and get to see people coming and going, and that's really great that way.
You know, what makes this little town, Chestertown, unique? It's a rural town, it's historic, but you've got the river, beautiful river. and you've got historic homes, and you've got beautiful countryside. But when you think about downtown, the town, what is iconic in downtown Chestertown? And I would argue that it's the theater, it's the Imperial Hotel, it's increasingly the Sultana, its presence, and River Arts is probably making a bigger inroads in terms of its presence downtown. But the theater is right up there in terms of being the iconic thing in town. It is a very busy place, and I think the town really views the theater as the hub of activity downtown. And that's important for these little towns, because what brings people downtown? What makes you have a sense that there's something happening downtown? And the theater is a major contributor to that.
It's a hugely important thing. And here I can, without any equivocating, say that the contribution of the Garfield to that very project I'm now involved in, which is I'm a facilitator for fine arts for 11 fine arts teachers. And just in the short time I've been doing that, the Garfield has hosted my teachers, has hosted my students in the schools who come here for dance productions. We work some magic with the money through a small grant. And the variety, that's the key point here, is the variety that a high school or elementary school student can get here, which they really can't get as much of at the Mainstay. And also, when I was a kid, I was in an orphanage in Philadelphia for 10 years, and every once in a while we saved up our money and we went downtown in Philadelphia to a theater called the Mastbaum. The Mastbaum was an Art Deco theater. It seated 2,000 people, right? The experience of a kid being in that room is much for some Kent County kids like this experience, because when they come in, it's kind of like a church to them. They know they must behave. And so I can, without any apologies to the Mainstay, say that this place is filling increasingly, I think, and we're in the second grant phase, and I think already we're talking to Tess about some opportunities for our kids here.
One, how would the town feel if the theater went dark? I mean, that would be a catastrophe for Chestertown.
Well, where would I go? I go to Church Hill no matter what. And I guess I had to go up to Wilmington or Philadelphia. But this is the opportunity. This building is the opportunity to see theater. You can see a good musical. I mean, we've got Sweeney Todd coming up. We had My Fair Lady. You can hear music. You can hear jazz. We've got the Jazz Festival in September. This is the place to come. You don't have to get in the car and drive. And quite frankly, a ticket for $15, $20, $25, what a bargain.
So for the last 4 years, I have been the treasurer of the theater, and it's been fun actually. It's not always easy, because I'm the guy that says you can't do that, or you got to do it a different way, or you've got to consider the finances before you just decide to go off and say yes. There's a lot of saying yes in theaters, and sometimes you got to say yes, but you got to do it this way. So that's sort of been the role I've played. But I like being around the theater and the people that are in the theater. Over the last 5 years, we've run 3 of those 5 years at a loss on an annual basis. And we have a line of credit with a local bank, and so we have had to dip into that line of credit. We were up at $120,000, and now we're at $90,000 to $100,000 debt against that line of credit. So we're operating generally on a very thin financial situation. And we owe money.
If the sky was the limit and we could do whatever we wanted here, I would say, first of all, my great passion, theater. We need sponsorships. We need sponsorships for our plays, and that's probably one of the things that if the sky was the limit and people were throwing money at us, I would direct it that way. The other thing that I would say, that if we had the possibility of endless funding, what we need to support is our partnerships within the community. You know, just the magical, and I know I keep using that word, but that's got to be like our buzzword, I think. We do create magic here, and with more support from donors, from sponsors, we could make more. We could always do more, but we just need that extra piece.
Budget increase for shows would be really, really awesome, to get like better props, better costumes, you know, and like that would be really, really cool to help with.
I wish that we had, if we're talking about buckets of money, if we had enough money that we could open our doors to organizations that can't afford to pay the rental fee. But we can make dreams come true. We've done it before. I think we can do it again.
For me, I think it's that we continue to produce really quality theater experiences.
If I had unlimited funds to support the Garfield, I would definitely look into fixing up a lot of the structural issues. There's paint chipping on the walls. Any amount of the stage obviously could probably use some updating. Anything like that would be a huge benefit.
The costume room is the space is very, very limited. You know, the backstage area in the green room is okay, but it's a little cramped, especially for musicians and their gear, and if you have a large cast
Or a lot of props or a lot of set,
you know,
that you need to change.
I definitely want to, while I think that we have definitely improved accessibility a lot in the last couple of years, I think that we could do even more, and I want to see more different types of people, different age ranges, all coming into the theater to experience the arts. I want to make sure that we have affordable events for all kinds of people, and I really want to make sure that we have different kinds of events. I want to find a way to incorporate visual arts into the Garfield Center as well as performing arts. Unlimited funding, I would definitely get some cool new tech equipment.
Well, sustainability, I'd say, is my wish, would be that we would be well endowed, that we could build an endowment for the theater that would allow us to continue.
I mean, I've always thought if we were going to do anything significant to help the whole sort of acting stage scene, is to, you know, dig that all out and make it into a really usable green room. Oh, I'd like to see a paint job, good working spaces. You know, that the space outside, it would be nice if it was possible to be covered. Keep, you know, the organization just improving. That will be nice.
In general, to get this rear projector on the floor and going well. Lighting can always be addressed. My love here is the lighting board's kind of getting a little bit old here. Other than that, acoustics a little bit.
If we had unlimited funding, I think, first of all, a green room and a rehearsal space. I would like to see a permanent cyclorama in the back. I think that would be very valuable for both, for as a venue itself. I think it would add to the venue. And with the psych would come a better light board, a more inclusive light board, so that Butch would have more variety at his hands.
Now, my priorities would be to pay off that line of credit, one, begin to create a rainy day fund. This is an old building. Three, we run the theater on a very thin staff. We have 2.5 full-time equivalents that are working at the theater. They are dedicated, they're hard workers, they're good, they are underpaid, they have no benefits, we've got no retirement fund, we've got no life insurance, all things that responsible employers should have for their employees, and we can't afford them.
I know that people like to go, for instance, to Ram's Head for music and to see name things, and perhaps maybe that's my dream. I would love to bring some big names to this stage so that people would say, wow. am I really in Kent County?
2 years ago, we got a generous grant to hire a consultant to look at the theater. And the result of that was a very comprehensive report about things that we should be looking at and upgrading in terms of our mechanics, our infrastructure. But there's another long list of things that still haven't been addressed. And I'm not a theater person. I know there's something about the fly or the backstage of the stage that needs to be addressed.
I just like to see inclusiveness in can't say my new community because I grew up here, but I was gone for many years and then I moved back.
I wish more people would come to the theater.
Thinking small will get you down. Bigger vision, smaller crowd. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can keep today 5 o'clock. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can keep today 5 o'clock. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can keep today 5 o'clock. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can tell the China from this star. I can keep today 5 o'clock. I can tell the China from this star. Thanks to Vince.